What's up guys, it's Jason with SDR Motorsports. Today in this video we are bringing you how to install your SDR doors for a Pro XP 2-seat platform. We are going to have a follow-up video for the Pro XP 4-seat. If that video isn't living on our channel yet, this will help you at least get you 80% of the way if you have the 4-seat variant. To help walk us through this install process, I want to introduce you to John, who's been a part of the SDR team for 4 years now, not only as a lead technician, but also is pulled in many different directions and wears many different hats in the production side of things. So, John, say what's up.
What's up, guys?
So guys, when you order your Pro XP 2-seat door, you're gonna get them in boxes such as this. So let's just dive right into it and figure out what's in these boxes. So the first thing, guys, is the boxes are labeled. In this case, 730502, that's our part number. 730502, that's also the same part number for the door kits. They're packaged very specifically. So John, let's go ahead and do an unboxing and show everyone what's in them.
All right. Door frames. Got it. All right.
Okay. So currently, guys, if you receive this QR code will redirect you to our product page, which should have a PDF file, but let's face it, YouTube videos are way more important, so we're just gonna throw that away. Okay, so these are the Zeus fasteners which attach the panels specifically to the door frames. This is the main hardware kit, right?
Correct.
And then what are these for?
These connect the upper and the lower door panel together.
Got it.
So you'll use the button head stainless steel bolts to connect the two panels together.
Got it. So guys, brief little check. Make sure this product is in box number 1. Okay, so now this is also in that same box. All right, John, and so what are those?
So these are going to be your door brackets.
So is that all that's in this box from a packaging perspective?
Correct.
Okay. All right, John. So this is box number 2?
Yes, sir. This is going to be your panels.
Okay.
That's how they come.
All the panels are all just packaged together, so we're going to need to undo these. Is there anything else from a hardware perspective in this box?
Nope. Packaging.
All right. Kids, don't try this at home. He's a trained professional.
There are going to be 2 pieces to the door. So these are going to be your uppers, quote unquote upper doors.
Got it, so the upper portion of the panel.
Correct.
Guys, this is a crucial part of this installation process. When you unwrap your panels, take some time, inspect them, make sure that there's no damage from transit. We obviously don't ship this out damaged, so you just want to make sure that it arrived safe and sound to you.
Lower portion.
So box number 2 has the panels, inspect them for damage. This is a 2-seat car, so it's 4 panels because You have the upper and lower panel per door. So if you're watching this video for the 4-seat car, it's obviously doubled. So John is prepping to now actually put the doors on the vehicle. For this video, we put the stock doors back on. You can tell that it's still fully functional. You will reuse the factory OEM door latch itself, but you can see it's a fully functioning door from the factory. What should people do first, John?
The easiest and fastest way to remove the stock door will probably just take the pins out from the hinges.
Okay.
So if you come inside, there are 2 pins located on the hinge brackets. So there's one here, one down at the bottom, which is kind of more difficult to get to.
Okay.
But easiest way to do that, there's a little snap ring on the bottom.
Okay.
All you do is just pop that out. Come under here. There's a snap ring. I already pulled it out, as you can see.
So that's what the snap ring looks like, guys.
It just basically holds up the pin in place. Use a flathead to kind of pry it out, and I have a little magnet to hold it.
Got it.
I would recommend that. Just to kind of, because if this falls out and you drops down here, you're not gonna get this back.
Good tip and trick.
So I would use a little magnet just to hold it. Same thing down here. Take the bottom one out. That one's a little bit more tricky just due to
The placement.
and lack of space between the plastics. So same thing, kind of just pry it out. So once you take that one out, I would set these aside in a safe place.
Okay.
Next thing I would do is there's a couple T40s holding the plastics in place. What I typically do is loosen them just to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room. So there's one down here at the bottom, holding the bottom plastic in. I would loosen that one. You don't have to take it out fully. I'll just loosen it pretty much almost all the way. Same thing with this one up here. There is a little bracket holding this plastic panel in.
And you said that's a T40?
Correct.
Got it.
Loosen it just so it has some thing down here. This bottom one, you might want to just take out completely. It is up to you. I find it a little bit easier to work with, in my case. So for bottom pin, now that you have this T40 out of the way, you have a little bit more room to get this pin out. So the easiest way I found is to get some flush cuts. Basically all you're gonna do is come in and then kind of pry it up.
Okay.
You'll see it come up. I like to get the bottom one first. I wouldn't take it out completely just yet. So once you have it kind of loose, come to the top, kind of do the same thing. Once you have it loose, kind of want to support the bottom of the door with your hand down there. Just kind of hold it in place. And then wiggle this out. Once you have the top one out, you can wiggle the bottom one out. It's kind of hard to see, but at first they'll give you a little bit of resistance, but just wiggle and pull up.
All right, John, so the next step is to install the door brackets, right?
Correct.
How do you know which side is the driver's side and which side is the passenger?
So on the 2-seat variant, the hinge brackets, you can kind of see there's a flat and then it curves. This curved end is going to point outwards towards the panel, so the outside of the vehicle.
So in theory, if I didn't know any better, in theory, this would be passenger?
Correct.
And then that would be driver?
Correct.
But what happens if you flip them upside down? How do you know the orientation?
So if you were to flip them upside down, like this would now be facing down. And the whole reason why it has a notch like this is once we get to go putting the panel on, there's clearance for the panel.
Got it. All right, so flip it back around. So the proper orientation, guys, there should be a large amount of material at the top part of the bracket, and then where the indentation starts is towards the panel. Where the indentation is, right, there's not as much material down here. So even if you were to have this flipped this isn't towards the driver's side, because now this is upside down. See how the majority of the material is at the bottom? So again, make sure that the orientation of the brackets are correct. Cool, so let's do it.
You're gonna grab your passenger side bracket, come in. I find it easier to attach the bottom one first. So again, it's kind of hard to see, just due to the plastic in the way. But it's kind of a little tricky. Basically, you want to put this all the way in as such, like that. The bottom one first. Come up to the top. Align it. It snaps in. So once you have the pins in, you'll kind of notice you won't be able to get the little snap ring in on the bottom. It's chamfered on the inside of this pin. So what I typically do is just grab like a dead blow or mallet, give it a couple taps, and you'll see it sit flush. And you'll want to come in with the snap ring. It's kind of hard to see, but use the flathead, press it in. Same applies to the bottom one. Do the same thing.
All right, John, so what's the next thing our customers need to do?
So we're just going to transfer the OEM stock latch assembly from your stock door. Easiest way to do it, you're going to need a T40, a T30. I find it easier with a swivel 8, or you can just use the open end wrench 8 mil.
Thank God it's not a 10 mil, because no one has those in their garages. Those always go missing.
Easiest way I find is there's a bunch of T40s, loosen them up. Not all of them, but I find the first half you just have to loosen up. They're little stubby ones, so it doesn't take forever. Just enough to where you have a little bit of wiggle room. Then what I do is I swap over to an 8 mil. That way you can take off this portion. That comes off. Make sure you know the orientation that you took it off, because that does matter.
The orientation of the latch?
So if you look at it, there's a flat portion and kind of a spring on the backside that sticks out. You kind of want to make sure you keep the left with the left door and the right with the right, because they will be flipped.
Got it.
So I always like to put my screws back in the way it came out, so that way you know. These guys, there's 2 little T30s come out. Those guys come out. And you just kind of pry up on the plastic, or the frame. And this guy just slides out. And again, this is just my habit. I always like to keep my hardware where it came.
Brief little interjection, guys. We don't supply these with our doors. You will need to reuse them from the factory doors. If for whatever reason you don't have them, they can be sourced at your local Polaris dealer. What's next for our customers?
So we're gonna hang the door frame onto the bracket now. Quick little tip of how to distinguish left and right. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but the boxed end is always gonna face towards the inside of the car. So just imagine this is your stock door and your latch, or you took it off your stock one. It's the same thing. So it pretty much mimics your stock door. We're gonna put the latch that you just took out onto the door. Just reverse of what you just did. Just use same hardware. Came out. No need to over torque these things.
So basically just hand tight plus quarter turn.
So Then this is where I told you this kind of matters because the flat end goes to the flat part.
Got it.
And then you just basically transfer these bolts over. This is where a wobble comes in extreme handy because it's just angle. Again, no need for a lot of torque.
All right, guys, so all we did is we unwrapped some of the hardware, and you're gonna have brackets that that belong to the left and right side. So John, how do they distinguish which goes with which?
The reason why we have two different brackets like this is just for panel adjustment. So this attaches to the door frame. There is a left and a right, so it's kind of confusing. So I'll show you which one is which.
How do you tell the difference?
So if you look, there is a little notch here that matches to your door frame. So just think of this as the top of your door frame. This goes like this. As you can see, they match.
Got it.
The shape. And then once you do that, you want this angle to go towards the outside of the car. So if you can look at it, it's kind of hard to tell, but it kind of angles.
Got it. Yeah.
To the
so
outside.
To distinguish left and right, we just want to make sure that it aligns with the door frame itself, right?
And then
the tab is going back towards the rear of the vehicle, right? And then
Correct.
It angles out, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
that's the correct side. But you can also put this one in, and it matches up.
But then now the tab is
But the
different.
tab is pointing towards the front of the car. So
So don't do that.
yeah, so don't do that.
And then what happens if you put it up like that? No, the other way. Flip it around. Then obviously that's wrong
That's
because
obviously-
now it looks like a shark fin.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is to distinguish to that shape.
Right?
And then you just make sure this goes to the back of the car.
Got it. So the other thing we did is we just pulled out hardware. They're all the same size. It's packaged up, so you just need a couple fasteners with washers and then the nylon lock nuts. What's next, John?
So we're gonna hang the door now. So grab your bracket, make sure it's the right one.
So John's just kind of getting things ready, getting the washer started on some of the fasteners, right?
So easiest way I found to hang the door is kind of get your bracket kind of in line. Easiest way to do it while solo is latch it in place, kind of hold it this way. That way,
That way you have that support,
kind of support. And then grab a bolt with the washer,
right?
go through the bracket onto the door frame, from the door frame through. Grab the washer and a nut. Get started. Same thing on the bottom. Now,
So there's only 2 holes in the door bracket, so it's pretty self-explanatory, right? What you just threaded in, right?
correct, yeah. And there's not a lot of slop to it. They're the same ID as the bolt, so there's not going to be a lot of wiggle room once you get it in.
Okay.
Once you have it hand tight, it's latched into place, you can go ahead and start tightening your bolts.
Got it. So what size do we need?
So you're going to get yourself a 9/16 socket, 9/16 box end wrench. Easiest way I found. Just go ahead and snug it up. This top bracket you kind of want to leave a little loose,
Okay.
so you have adjustment for
Okay.
when your panel goes on. Bottom one you can just fully tighten it.
Cool, so that one we can go ahead and fully tighten. That one we just kind of want to...
Kind of leave it a little loose just until you get the panel on.
All right, John, so the next step is to attach the panels, right? Using Pack 3, which is all the metric hardware, right? How can customers identify which is the correct lower panel?
So in our case, we're doing the passenger side, but you're always going to want to have the indentation go towards the inside of the car. So if you were to flip this, it's not gonna work. How it protrudes like that, you wanna have it flipped over, so this side, if you look at it, line it up.
Got it.
So it goes towards the inside of the car.
That makes sense.
So you get the button head, washer goes on the back side with a nut. So you're gonna do that to all.
Got it. And just like that, magic of YouTube, they're all installed. So, John, what do we got to do next?
All we gotta do is just hang it and do some minor adjustments to get it perfect.
Okay.
All you gotta do is get your nuts and washers all ready. Hang it up front, line up your first hole, which is gonna be this guy. Just place that in. You don't have to put a washer and a nut on the backside just yet. I find it easier just putting one there. And then this is where leaving this bracket loose comes in handy, because then you could just literally mess with it to where it's lined up.
So all you're doing is you're pivoting that bracket, you know, just to line it up.
You could physically see it moving up and down, but it just kind of helps guiding it from the back. So once you have your bolt in, you're just gonna go through the back and kind of wiggle your fingers around to get a nut and a washer back there. Once you have it started, then you can come back to this guy. Get a washer and a nut. Then you can physically open the door. And you would have to come through here, on the back side, get that one started, and then just work your way around. And then again, the washer goes on the back side, you don't put the washer on the front. I've seen people do that before, but all you gotta do is line it in.
So that's the correct way. So fastener, washer on the back side of the frame tab, and then the nylon lock nut on the back side of the washer. Good to know. While John is installing some of those others, something you guys should know, if you don't already, a few years ago we made a production revision on all of our door platforms where we have this specialty fastener made. So very similarly to like a Zeus button that would normally have a spring-loaded tab on the back side that, although it's an Allen head, it would be just a normal Zeus button and it would catch the spring on the back side with that quarter turn. Well, a couple years ago we made that production revision to include these specialty fasteners, which you have to get through us at SDR. So if you need any replacements, please reach out to the sales department. I'll take care of you. All right, guys, so you can see John's got all of them pre-installed, so they're all, you know, hand tight, if you will. So there should be 7 on the Pro XP2. All right, this guy's kind of a pain. Just use a box end wrench to get that one. And then what are we doing? How tight do we need to go with these?
You don't want to go over tighten it, because you can put like a little indentation into the panel, because this is 060 aluminum, so it's not the thickest material in the world. So you don't want to go cranking on these, just again, hand tight. So you're going to use a 3/16 Allen for the Zeus fastener up top. Okay. And then a 17, again, you have to use an open end wrench for these right here, just because you can't get it.
Got it.
Socket back there.
So let's go ahead and tighten those guys up.
There's no particular order that you have to start them in. What I like to do is just start from top to bottom. I do this one first, then this one, and then you just work your way down.
Got it.
You can't get a socket on this one, so these 2 top ones, you have to use a wrench. And this is where it's key to leave this loose, because this allows a little bit of flux.
Okay.
you got your fasteners all tight, now you want to, last step would be to go back and tighten that.
Tighten that guy, right? Yep.
And it doesn't have to be cranked on, but hand tight, quarter turn. Now everything's fastened. Just go ahead and close it. And you should hear that audible clunk. You shouldn't hear any like rattling or anything like that.
Yeah, so right now, go ahead and shut it again, John. So even right now, without, I mean, I don't hear anything. Now guys, you did see this had the factory doors on it, and we literally just pulled the factory doors off, put our doors on it. Now that you've shown our customers how to install the door and we're 95% of the way there, I mean, the fitment looks pretty good, but what if their vehicle differs?
So there are a few things that you can do. One place of adjustment would be this latch, your stock catcher, I would call it. There's two T40s, I believe they are. You just loosen those. This wiggles a little bit up and down, side to side. So if your door isn't quite in the middle, and say if it's catching on this little lip, just loosen those, kind of move this back and forth, mark it, and then just retighten that.
They would probably need to do that.
I would say,
take the panel off.
I would say, yeah, I would do it before you have the panel on, just so that way you have a visual. Ours lined up, you know, damn near perfect. So we don't have to do any adjustment, but in the rare case that your car maybe needs a little bit more adjustment, I would do that.
Got it. Let's say the panel was hitting the plastics a little bit. What can we do there?
You have a little bit of play and a little bit of adjustability. So you just loosen these T40s right here, top and bottom. These do have a little wiggle room front to back and a little bit of up and down. So you can just loosen those, fine tune your adjustment, and then from there, you know, you should be pretty dialed.
Got it. So if we loosen these, it allows us for a little bit of adjustment with this stock bracket.
Correct.
Okay.
Last step I would do is just, as we stated earlier, we loosen these two T40s. So all you need to do is just retighten them, and then the door install is pretty much finished.
And then another thing, guys, we took the passenger seat out for the sake of install of this video. It's not required. You don't have to take the seat out. We just did it, so it was a little bit easier to see what's going on, but that's, I know you guys are gonna ask that in the comments, so it's not necessary. And just like that, you guys have now installed SDR Pro XP2 doors. So then just to recap, this is the hardware that you should have left over. So this would be the driver's door frame, driver's door panel, the upper panel, the driver's door panel, the lower panel, and then the hardware. We include a lot of extra grade 8 bolts because these are what are used for the brackets. But remember, these brackets, just toss them, guys. We don't recommend them, or just keep them in your garage. This is only if you need a lot of extra adjustment in your doors. Fasteners to fasten the panels to the frame. You have the other metric button heads to fasten the two panels together, and then the actual door frame brace. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Please stay tuned to the channel. Pro XP 4-seat is very similar to this, but we are going to do a separate video on that as well. Please share this video with a friend. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next video. Peace.